So hello guys, what's up and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's me, your girl barrister NEZE, and this is NEZE Peperempe. Long time no see that video. Welcome to another sit down video. And in this video, I am going to be discussing with you guys the biggest mistakes that immigrants in Canada should avoid. 1. Getting swallowed in the credit system. The way Jonah, or is it Jonah that swallowed the whale, or whale swallowed Jonah? The way the whale swallowed Jonah, if you are not careful as an immigrant, you will get swallowed and drowned by the credit system. First and foremost, you as an immigrant coming from Africa, from Nigeria, you are not very conversant with credit. Back home, we operate on a cash and carry basis. If you want to buy something, most times it's cash and carry. There is no bank that without history of doing business with you, or you're a newcomer, or without anything, you just open an account and they will give you a credit card, except that credit card is cash backed. So the credit system is not really established back home. So coming from a country where whatever you want to buy, you pay via cash and you go home to a place where credit is an integral part of life. Even if you can afford these things via cash, you still need a credit history to qualify for a lot of things. So it is not even optional, it is a culture. It is mandatory. If you are not prudent, if you're not careful, if you're not aware, if you're not disciplined, you might find yourself biting more than you can chew. So once you come to Canada, one of the first things that you will do in your first 24 hours or 48 hours, aside from getting a telephone line and getting your SIN, your social insurance number, is to open a bank account. And once that bank account is opened, without any pre-qualification, you are entitled to a credit card, at least to a certain limit. Newcomers typically would get about $2,000, which is subject to increment when your credibility has been established. Okay, so as time goes on, they will increase your limit when they see your traction and your history of prompt payments and non-default. Good. So one major mistake that immigrants make is not understanding that that money is not yours. It is borrowed money and it must be paid as and when due. Many times you do not have a job, you are low on cash, and you start eating deep into the credit card than you can repay. And one of the biggest mistakes, one of the biggest dooms for you as an immigrant or as anybody living in the West is to be credit deficient or to default on your credit payment. It ruins your credit score. And without a good credit score, you cannot purchase a house, you cannot rent an apartment. There's so many things that you will not qualify for once your credit score goes down. So the biggest advice that, for example, I have given myself is do not ever spend more than you can repay. If your credit card is $2,000 and you know that you cannot pay back $2,000 as at when due, do not spend more than you can pay back. If it's $500 out of that limit of $2,000 that you can pay back, spend only $500. In fact, for me, I just use that credit card as a means of having a credit history and getting a good credit score, I don't see it as my money. So whatever I spend from my credit card, once I get back home that day, I replace it. To avoid had I known, to avoid I forgot, to avoid any story, I use and put back the same day. If it's not possible for you to do that, just be cognizant. You need to be very financially aware. And that's why when I came here, yes, I have gotten some little financial background from my years in banking, but the system is still different. And even back in Nigeria as a banker, I know how credit works. And I know that nothing goes for nothing. The bank will not give you anything on a platter. There is always something to give back. So don't be carried away. And that already made me not to like credit. Even in Nigeria, even when I had opportunities as a bank staff to take so many things and access so many credits, I was still very careful with credit. I would always use my cash. Anything that I cannot pay for, I cannot afford. But over here, there is so much access to credit. Aside from this credit card that was given to you by the bank, when you go to stores, you will see marketers chasing you up and down like fly. Come and take card, come and take credit card, grocery credit card. You want to buy car, it's on credit. You want to buy house, of course, mortgage, it's on credit. Furniture, It's on credit. If you are not careful, you will go and amass so much debt and you will not be able to meet up to your obligations, and that will be the beginning of your downfall in the abroad. I remember when I incorporated my company, and in the course of opening the bank account, they were like, oh, they're going to give me credit card for my business when I already have credit card on my personal. I said, no, don't give me. I don't want. I do not want extra gbese, because money is a spirit. When you have so much availability and you are not careful, you will just be eating in until you take more than you can handle. During this my short stay here, I have already met with a financial advisor, several financial advisors, and I'm equipping myself for the best way to strategically plan my stay, my life, and possible exit in this country. I remember when I was talking to one financial advisor, he was like, this lady, you are something else. So this thing that you are planning and this knowledge you are getting and all these things you are doing now, I didn't do it until after 10 years in Canada. You are just coming and you're already having the insight to know all these things and plan all these things. That's very commendable. And that's the kind of person I am. I like to plan. I like to know. In order not to make financial mistakes, you need to acquaint yourself with information. Information is power. So you have to know the best savings plans, the best investment plans, everything that you need to equip yourself for good quality of life, good retirement, and a debt-free old age. So please, my dear immigrants, and even people that have stayed here for a while, be very careful with the debt and credit system of the West. It can consume you. Secondly, evading tax. Now, tax might not be as much as a big deal back home as it is here. First, it is a very erroneous assumption to think that people back home do not pay tax. They do pay tax, but maybe not as structured and not as all-inclusive as it is in the West. Over here, no matter what you do, even if you plait hair, you will be paying tax. That's why Celine Dion say, like rain, tax. Like Guinea, rain. Imagine equating tax to as certain as it would rain. So is it certain that tax will be paid? It is almost like as certain as breathing over here in the abroad. There is no escaping it. And that is what they use to make that place that many of us back home want to come to. Now, coming from a country where some people do not pay tax, if you had worked in an established organization, you might not even know, but it is taken from source. I worked in corporate Nigeria all my life back home, so I have always been taxed very heavily. But some people are not used to the concept of tax. They make their money and they take everything. So coming to a place where Canada taxation is one of the highest globally in the world, a place where almost half of what you earn is taken away from you, it can be painful, especially for those that have not experienced it. If you're working in an organization, an institution where you are paid by your employers, it's almost impossible to evade tax because it's also taken from source. But if you are doing business, you're self-employed, you're an entrepreneur, then there might be a temptation to cut corners. Please don't. You see, if there's anything that these guys do not play with over here, it is their taxes. And investigations into taxation in Canada is one of the only things that is not statute barred, if I'm not mistaken. I know I've come across that law somewhere. Now, statute limitation is like there's a particular number of years that that's a crime or a wrongdoing would have happened that you cannot bring that matter to court again or bring that matter up for investigation again because it has been statute barred. For example, for contracts in Nigeria, you cannot bring a matter for breach of contract after 7 years that contract was breached because it will be termed or deemed to have been statute barred, meaning the law is asking you, Oga, why are you just talking now? Go and sit down. It is too late. Most times, it is usually crimes that are not statute barred. So that's why R. Kelly committed offense of 20 years ago. They can jail him today. Bill Cosby can commit an offense of 50 years ago. He can go to jail today because crimes most times are not statute barred. It is usually civil wrongs, right? But issues around taxation is one of those offenses that even in 20 years to come, they might open an investigation to check if you evaded tax or if you committed tax fraud or if you engage in any sharp practices around tax. And trust me, if you are found culpable, you would go to prison. So just imagine you leading a good, decent life and going to jail or prison just because of tax. denting your file, your record, your reputation, appearing on newspaper, on Insta blog because of tax, it will be a very sad one. So please make investigations. There are tax, what do they call them? Tax advisors. I've also spoken to one because I do not have much experience at all when it comes to taxing. In Nigeria, I don't calculate my tax by myself. My YouTube earnings are taxed automatically by Google, while my personal earnings from the office are taken from source from HR. So I didn't have anything to do with tax. So coming from that to abroad now, where you're the one that will file your taxes by yourself. Ignorance of the law is not an excuse. It cannot excuse you. So if possible, please pay a tax advisor that would advise you, help you scan your books, teach you what to do and what not to do. There are several ways to maximize these things and mitigate the amount of tax that you pay. Those are not illegal. Those are not cutting corners. They're just smarter ways to structure your business or yourself to ensure that you don't pay so much in tax. That's where the tax advisor comes in to teach you all of these tricks. But hiding income is dangerous. Don't do that one. Resist the temptation. That business that you think that nobody knows you are doing, you're getting the money, you are keeping it in the corner. One day, torchlight might just shine on your file and they say, Aya, come and balance this record, and you start saying I beg. The third mistake that new immigrants make in Canada is to be stuck on the white collar job. The Canadian dream. We hear of the American dream. Why is nobody talking about the Canadian dream? Back in Nigeria, why is it only America? See, this America has changed Canada. It's when I came to Canada that I knew that many of these notable people, many things started in Canada. But I don't know why Canada has never gotten that projection. Instead, most of these people would think that they are even from America. Many notable actors, musicians, scientists, so many of them. Let us check some. But it does look as if America. Justin Bieber is from Canada. So many people think he's American. Pamela Anderson, Celine Dion, Ryan Reynolds, Keanu Reeves, Ryan Gosling, Dwayne Johnson, Avril Lavigne. There are many. So many big people came from Canada. But I don't know why Canada was not just... In fact, it's even in recent times that we start hearing Canada. It hasn't always been America. What happened? So, my darling people, we have heard of the American dream. There is also a Canadian dream that many immigrants have before they come here. They look forward to coming to a good job, a white-collar job. And when I say a white-collar job, I'm talking about occupying roles in corporate, professional, administrative, or managerial positions. Because the truth is that many people who immigrate to Canada are people that have occupied these positions back home. So Canada is sieving the best of the best from these countries. The immigration process in Canada is such that it is people at the top funnel of these countries that have the opportunity to immigrate, that have the requirements to immigrate. So when these white-collar immigrants come to a country, they'll be expecting similar opportunities in the workspace as they have already been exposed to. And many times when they come with this mindset, this impression, it is always a major letdown for them when they discover that the most availability of jobs in Canada are at the bottom funnel, the blue-collar jobs, not the white-collar jobs. It's usually a rude shock from a lot of immigrants who have already mentally prepared themselves to come and occupy white-collar jobs. So imagine for example, let me use myself for example, that have occupied middle management roles, joined in the controlling and management of regions, grown to that level of my career, coming to a new country in the hope of continuing in the same fashion, and then I'm told to go to the warehouse to start carrying load. First, the physical pain of the carton on my shoulder is even secondary. The first pain and defeat that I would experience is the mental defeat, the psychological defeat, the demoralization. So it is very important that immigrants are prepared and psyched up for the possibility of starting at a much lower position than they are used to. You have to open your mind to the fact that you might have to do some run-of-the-mill jobs, some survival jobs, that you might have to go back to school in these new countries in the West, get their own type of education, get some work experience, cultivate their corporate culture before you can then be exposed to these bigger opportunities. It may happen for some people. No, I do not want to be a messenger of doom. Contrarily, you guys know that I'm someone that likes to give the positive news and impression about the place. I do not like surrounding myself with negative talk or negative people, but we still have to say the truth, right? We still have to say the reality. Yes, there are some people that would come, their first job would be that dream job, but it is not same for so many people. So, dear immigrants, you have to manage your expectations. You have to be mentally ready for the change. You have to please not look down on these survival jobs. They are temporary by the grace of God. You have to be ready to grow again. 4. The fourth mistake that new immigrants make is breaking or attempting to break the law. You know, there are so many things that we do back home that we overlook, that it looks like, oh, it's nothing, no big deal. Like, that one, that guy man. Over here, no big guy man. You would be held accountable. Nobody would consider breaking the law or committing an offense as just a guy man things. Uncle, auntie, you see some of the stories that we cover on NEZEVILLE. I hope you guys are following us on NEZEVILLE too. My other channel where we talk about current happenings and celebrity gist and all of that. Sometimes we cover stories of, you know, Nigerians that have gone abroad, and those things that they were doing back in Nigeria, they do it here and they get into very serious trouble. Smallies. Those uncles that chase smallies. And when after chasing smallies, in Nigeria, people will blame the small girl. That why did she follow the big uncle? That didn't she enjoy it? You see victim blaming. Over here, nobody is going to blame the child. You will go to prison. You know what I'm talking about. Avoid smallies. Traffic offenses. Normal reverse here, reverse here. You can try that in Africa. If you do it here, you'll be in trouble. And there's nothing like Oga Abeg. Sharp practices. Doing those things on your computer. Do I need to tell you? You might think that you can hide, but you will be caught. You then put yourself in trouble and bring a bad name to members of your country. The system works here. There is hardly any escape for crime or sharp practices. So when you are a new immigrant, study the law of your new country and abide. Just imagine you saving all your money, all the things you've been through to immigrate, and you come, they now lock you up after going to prison, they deport you. Can imagine. So any way you can, acquit yourself with knowledge with the law and try to be law abiding. That's the only way you would enjoy abroad. When you are law abiding, nobody will disturb you. Since we came to Canada, there's no policeman that said, park, clear roads, let us see your boots. Nobody is disturbing you. Some people have been here, they said for 5 years, no police has stopped them. You won't even, I've never seen soldier uniform. I don't even know are there soldiers in this country? So everybody is leaving you to do your thing. But if you look for trouble, trouble will come and find you and you'll be punished. 5. Finally. Finally. The last mistake that many immigrants that have come to Canada make is their lack of ability to familiarize themselves with the Canadian work culture, the norms of the culture of the workplace. You know one thing with culture, how do we define culture in social studies, right? The way of life of a people. This is their identity. This is who they are. And you as an immigrant, if you're coming to somebody's domain, some people's culture, you do not come with your own strong culture to impose for them to adapt to yours. No. If you come that way, you would always be at loggerheads with the indigents that you met there. You can have your culture, you can retain your culture, but you cannot impose it and let it be the ideal in that society where you met indigenous people. So also applies in the workplace. The culture of the workplace in Nigeria, in Africa, is completely and entirely different from the Canadian work culture. And that is why many times you see that Canadian companies will not give employment, no matter how qualified you are, to people, immigrants, that do not have Canadian work experience, because it's from the work experience, not that you don't know how to do the work. Of course, they've seen your resume, they've seen that you have done it, but you did it in a different terrain where the work culture differs from theirs. So they want you to get that Canadian experience. And that is why you see some people, they'll start volunteering, doing free work, because nobody will give you paid employment without that Canadian experience. And you need it to get a good job. So you see some immigrants having to take on free jobs, tedious laborer work, just to get that Canadian work experience. It is because preserving their culture at the place of work is very important to them. And that is where adaptability comes in. Adaptability is key. It is adaptability that will make, you used to watch all these movies like Lost, where a plane will crash in the middle of the forest and you see rich people, executives, you see Princess of Wales is at the forest there. You see different people from all walks of life, and they have to find a way to live in that forest. People that have lived in, mansions filled with staff and all of that, are now in the forest. No place to live, no place to eat. And you see them, they will survive that place for the next 2 years. How did that happen? Adaptability. If they want to impose that standard that they are used to when they were living in New York to that forest that life has taken them to, they will not survive. And that is what that is what distinguishes an intelligent person from a not intelligent person, the ability to adapt. When you get a job in Canada, you have to be careful to ensure that your culture does not try to overshadow the existing culture in that terrain, because you will stand out, and not in the complimentary fashion. You will stand out as an anomaly, as a strange figure, as a cause of concern, and you'll be picked out and you'll be flung out of that job in no time. Every institution has its culture, and it is your responsibility as an immigrant to study it and to adapt. They will not change for you. You are the one coming in. You are the one that would adapt. You are the one that would blend. Things that meant nothing in Nigeria, in Africa, can mean everything in the workplace abroad. For example, I observed that instead of back in Nigeria, while working, we usually say, "Dear Patrick." My boss, if he wants to address me, I can say, "Dear Chineze, dear NEZE, dearest NEZE, dearest colleagues." But over here, it is, "Hello, this person. Good morning, NEZE." That dear now, that means nothing, can be offensive to somebody, especially if it's coming from the opposite gender. Back home in Nigeria, we pass compliments to each other in the office. When I walk in, my male colleague can say, "Oh, NEZE, you are looking so beautiful today. I love your skirt." Somebody can say, "Oh, NEZE, you have beautiful legs." Over here, some compliments will land you a sack letter. Back home, you can throw religion in the face of anybody at the place of work. Let us pray before we start meeting. Over here, somebody is sick, you are praying for the person, yet they sack you. The person will report you for praying for her. Just imagine. "Oh no, Maker, you when they do good thing, now you go enter trouble." Back home in Nigeria, again, another example. You can be at home, maybe you're on leave, and your colleagues are driving by. We used to do that a lot in the back. "Hey, babe, I'm passing Peter Dilio. I beg, I'm dropping by. Do you have Indomie? Do you have rice? I'm hungry." Your colleague can dash into your house. Yeah, with your boxers. Yeah, with your bomb shots. You prepare something for them, the marketers, they eat and go. But go and try inviting yourself to someone's house when you are not wanted. It's HRO that would invite you at the office the next day. You'll be reported. Or you come into a workspace and you start picking fault in what people do, how they do things, you are reporting. You think that you are doing good thing by reporting, by fingering these things, but you, the reporter, now you, they go sack. Because they believe that you have come to taint the culture of that work environment. You are trouble. You are a complainer. So as a new immigrant, you need to learn corporate culture. You need to learn the corporate culture of corporate Canada. You need to familiarize yourself with their way of life, especially in the office. If it's out there, yes, everybody can face their culture. If I want, I wear my Ankara and do how I want, do my Nigerian party, eat my Nigerian food. But in the corporate space, you need to be very careful. Oversabi, eye service is not the yardstick, the benchmark here. Back home, you can use eye service to grow at work. Yes, sir. Over here, they don't want that, sir. I remember when I was going to school, my lecturer, there was this Nigerian that was always, you know how we Nigerians are, and I always trying to act like like that we get respect fast. And this person will be calling the lecturer Ma. Yes, Ma. The lady was so offended. Say, me? Ma? No. According to the guy, he thought he was pleasing the woman. But every time the guy says this Ma thing, the woman gets highly offended. She prefers first name basis. They prefer to be addressed by their first name. All those SASA, eye service, all those things that we do back home, you're weighed by your competence, not by, you know, how much kissing of butts that you can do. So learn all these things. It can be learned from watching videos of people that, you know, that have been there. Experience will also teach you some. But in all in all, you need to be observant of every space that you find yourself in. Because getting the job is one thing, keeping it is another. We are going to bring this video to an end here. I have one extra point, but no. Let me save that for another day. I don't want this video to go longer than this. So guys, yes, we have come to the end of today's video. If you've been staying in Canada or in the West generally, it's because it's very similar across the West. Let us know what it is like in corporate Germany, corporate US, corporate wherever you are. What mistakes did you make as a new immigrant when you came that you had to learn from? You guys know that I'm very big on sharing information. I'm the kind of person that if I have an information, I don't keep it. When some people get information that will help others, they keep it because they don't want... I don't even know how I saw it on Instagram. When someone was asking, why is it that when Nigerians come to, or when Africans come to Canada, they start complaining about immigration? They don't want other people to come. I'm like, oh God. That's not the kind of heart I have. That's not the way I think. That's not the way I'm built. If I have a key to somewhere, as long as it doesn't affect my own joy, my own progress, my own shine, I'll open the door, let everybody come in and enjoy it too. Nothing spoil. So please, information is power. Share your experiences, share your knowledge, share your information down in the comment section. So those that know less than you do or are less acquainted than you are can also learn from them. Thanks for listening to my TEDx talk. Thanks for listening to my TEDx talk. Alright guys, yes, so thank you so much for watching. If you're new here or you're seeing this beautiful face for the first time, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, give the video a big thumbs up, drop all your comments down in the comment section, and stay glued because we have so much more coming your way. It's me, your girl barrister NEZE, and this is NEZEVILLE. I'll see you guys in my next one. For now, bye.